Hello, welcome back for lesson 7.2. This is the last of our trig work, and I really hope you've enjoyed learning some different things about triangles that you never knew. It's pretty cool how you can find all this information out. So we're going to start with 7.2. 7.2 is all about the law of cosines. And so there's two situations that we're going to work with. Let me go ahead and share my screen. We're going to work with a situation that is when we know a side and an angle in between an aside, and then when we know all three sides and we don't know any angles. So here are the three different formulas that we're going to be using. One when we're trying to solve for side A, side B, and side C. And then when we need to solve for angle A, we're going to have to use this formula to do that, or angle B, we'll use this one, or angle C, we'll use this one. They're all set up similarly though. So let's just jump right in. Questions 2 and 4 are both asking just to find this one particular side that's missing. So we know B and C, and we know angle A. So we're going to use this first one to find A. So A is equal to the square root of, because we're going to need to take the square root of B squared, so 10 squared plus C squared, so 4 squared, minus 2 times B times C, so times 10 times 4, times the cosine of 60. And we can put this right into our calculator, and once we get it in, we can kind of keep using it. So this is going to be the square root of 10 squared plus 4 squared. And the reason I'm not just squaring them in my head, which I could, is because now I can just use this formula even when I've got decimal values. So minus 2 parentheses 10. No. Parentheses 4. And then the cosine of 60. Make sure you're in degree mode. And I get 8.7179. Type that in 2 times cosine of 60. Yes. So answers might vary a little bit different from each other because I did it in parts before, but 8.7178 is what I get. 8.7178. Number 4, we know A and B, but we need to find C, but it's essentially the same formula. So C is going to equal 10 squared plus 5 squared minus 2 times 10 times 5 times the cosine of 102. Insert for the 102, and then it's 10 and 5 for the values. And I get 12.0744. So C is equal to 12.0744. Isn't too bad. Okay. So next up are 12 and 14. So I'm going to do 12 first. So 12 is we have a triangle with all just 3 sides. So our goal is to find the 3 angles. So let's just draw. So the longest side is going to be 12. That's going to be C. And then the next longest side is 9, and that's going to be B, and then 4, and that's A. And then we're going to use our formula to solve for one of them. first. So let's just solve for cosine of A. So cosine of A, so we're going to have A squared. So 4 squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2 times B times C times the cosine of A. And that's what's missing. So we're going to have 16 equals 81 plus 144 minus 2 times 9 times 12. So 216 cosine of A. So we're going to subtract the 81 and 144. So we're going to have 16 minus 81 minus 144. So we're going to end up with a negative 209 over here. So negative 216 times cosine of A. And I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 216. So I end up with a positive 0.965759 equals cosine A. So we can use the inverse cosine. So arc cosine of 0.96759. So I'm going to do the second and cosine of the answer here. And I get 14.6265. 14.6265 equals A. So that's one of the angles. Okay, now we're going to have to do that to find the second angle, and then the third angle we can just subtract them all from 180. So I'm going to go ahead and find side B doing the same thing. So this one's going to be 9 squared equals 4 squared plus 12 squared minus 4 times 2 times 4 times 12 times the cosine of B. So we're going to have 81 equals 16 plus 144 minus 8 times 12 is 96 cosine B. So I'm going to have 81 minus 16 minus 144. So I'm going to get a negative 79. So a negative 79 equals a negative 96 cosine of B. And then dividing both sides by cosine of, or by negative 96, we get 0.8229. And using the inverse sign, we get B is equal to, so we're going to take the arc cosine of 0.8229 and find out B. So inverse cosine of the previous answer is 34.6222. So that means that C is equal to 180 minus A minus B. So 180 minus my answer there minus A, which was 14.6265. So I get C to be approximately 130.75 degrees. 7514. That's 12. Okay. So let's go ahead and do the similar for 14. So I'm going to draw my triangle here. And my longest is going to be 15, and that's going to be B. Oh, no. 19, and that's A. A is the longest. And the next longest is 15, and that's B. And then C is the smallest. So I'm going to just do the same thing I did before, solve for A and B. So to solve for A, I've got, or the angle A, I've got 19 squared equals 15 squared plus 7 squared minus 2 times 15 times 7 times cosine of angle A, because I'm using side A. So 19 squared, I'm going to need to know that, and then 15 squared, I'm going to need to know that. So 361 equals 225 plus 49 minus 2 times 15 times 7 is 210. So 361 minus 225 minus 49 is 87. And that doesn't seem right, because then I would have a cosine and inverse of a negative number, but let's see. Okay, so 87. Negative 210 cosine A divided by a negative 210. And then I'm going to take the inverse cosine of that. Well, sure enough, it came out right. So a negative 0.4, because it was just must be in the second or third quadrant. For it was 114 is in the second quadrant, so that's why it's negative. 0.442 equals cosine of A. So we did the inverse cosine, and A equals 114.47 degrees. Okay, so I'm now going to do the same thing. I'm going to solve for angle B. So 15 squared equals 19 squared plus 7 squared minus 2 times 19 times 7 times the cosine of angle B. So 225 equals 361 plus 49 minus 266 cosine B. So 225 minus 361 minus 49 is a negative 185 equals negative 266 cosine B. So that becomes positive 0.69549. So the inverse cosine of that answer is a 45.9338 degree angle for B. Okay, and that means that C is 1A minus that answer minus 114.47. So C is about 15.596. 19.596 degrees. We did it. Yay. So that's if we knew. We did side angle side on the first. So no, 12 and 14 were all three sides. So let's do number 24. Number 24 is a side angle side. And 24 is asking us to find the area of the triangle. Okay, so find the area of the triangle. So we need to find sides to do that. So we are going to use our law of cosines here. So we're going to draw a perpendicular line. Actually, we want to be able to use that angle, so we need to do either way, we're going to have to find. And so let's see, what could we do? I need to find this side here. So we have the base times the height. Or, oh, what we could do is let's draw a line here so we can use 22 as our base. Because area is equal to 1/2 the base times the height. And so if we use this as our base, 22 is our base, we need to find our height. And so our height, right here. So that's going to be our base. And so we just need to find this value here. So we have 48 and 14. So we could do the sine, because sine is the sine of 48 is the opposite over the hypotenuse. So the sine of 48 is equal to the height over the hypotenuse of 14. So 14 times the sine of 48 equals the height. So we can do 14 times the sine of 48. And so that side is going to be 10.4. The height is 10.4. So 10.4. So if we multiply 0.5 for 1/2 times 22 times 10.4, we get an area of 114.44. 24, which didn't even tell us the feet, the units, or anything like that. Okay, let's look at number 30. Number 30 is a triangle with just 3 sides. They don't give us any angles. And they want us to find the area again. So we're going to have to find an angle here. So if we do this as our right angle, this right here is going to be our height. So area equals 1/2 base times height. So area equals 1/2. The base is going to be the 10.2, but the height we have to find, but we don't know the right angle, or we don't know this angle here. So we're going to call that angle A. So we have to find side or angle A so that we can use that angle to find the height. And we're going to have the opposite over we're going to use the sine again. So, but first we have to find the angle A. Okay, so the angle A is going to be with 5.4 squared equals 10.2 squared plus 6.8 squared minus 2 times 10.2 times 6.8 times the cosine of A, using our formula for the law of cosines. Okay, so that is 5.4 squared. We're going to need 10.2 squared, and we're going to need 6.8 squared. Okay, so we have 29.16 equals 104.04 plus 46.24 minus 2 times 10.2 times 6.8 is 138.72 times cosine of A. So we have 29.16 minus 4.04 minus 46.24. So we have a negative 121.112 equals a negative 138.72 cosine of A. So divide that by the negative 138.72, and we get a positive 0.87313 equals cosine of A. Using the inverse cosine, our angle is 29.176 degrees. Okay, so now we know angle A, so we know the sine then of 29.176 is going to be equal to H over that hypotenuse of 6.8. So 6.8 times the sine of 29.176 will give us H, the height in our triangle. So 6.8 times the sine of 29.176 is 3.31. 496 is H. So we're going to use that 3.3. The height is going to go up here, 3.31496. So the area is going to be 0.5 times 10.2 times 3.31496. So approximately 16.9063. Wow, that one took a while. So you have to draw a perpendicular, and then that's going to be your base where you're drawing the perpendicular down to. So that's our base at 10.2, and the height is what we had to find, but we didn't know any of the angles. So we had to use the law of cosines to find this angle A. So that would be our theta. And then we would use that as a sine because H is the opposite of over this hypotenuse of 6.8. Oh, that's fun. Okay, so the last two problems are two-story problems. So number 34 is the first one I'd like to look at. And it's this landscaping problem. It says a landscaper wants to fence in the triangular region as shown. What length of fencing material is needed to completely enclose the region, assuming that none of the fencing goes to waste? So we have a side, an angle, and a side, and we need the third side so that we can add them up to find the length of the fencing, not the area of the fencing, just the length. So we have side area, side, and we need, we'll call that side A. So side A is equal to the square root of, because we know the other two sides, 13 squared plus 16 squared minus 2 times 13 times 16 times the cosine of 25. We can go all the way back up and find where we typed that in earlier, just because I said it was going to be so fun to be able to do that. Watch, I didn't say fast. I did it. Oh, of course not. Oh gosh. Okay, so here we go. The square root of, the square root of this. 13 squared plus 16 squared minus 2 times 13 times 16 cosine of 25. And we get 6.926. And if we add that to the other two sides of 13 plus 16, we have a length of about 35.96. So length, total length, we said of 35.926 feet. And then I thought 40 would be fun because it had three sides. We had to find some info. So number 40 says, the lengths of the two sections of a hospital bed are 3 feet and 4 feet. What is the angle between the two sections of the bed when one section is raised up so that the tip of the head of the bed is 6 feet from the tip of the foot? Okay, so I started envisioning it incorrect. So I'm envisioning the bed is like right here, the person's head, and it's going up and down. So I'm doing it like this. So the tip of the head is at the tip of the foot. And I said that was 6 feet. And then this would be 3 feet and 4 feet. Okay, so they wanted us to find what is the angle between the two sections. So we're looking for this angle here. So we'll call that, it's the longest, so we'll call that angle C. So 6 squared is equal to 3 squared plus 4 squared minus 2 times 3 times 4 times the cosine of C. Okay, so we've got 36 equals 9 plus 16 minus 24 cosine of C. So then we have 36. Let's just make it so you can see this. 36 minus 9 minus 16. So we have 11 over here equals a negative 24 cosine C. And then we divide by the negative 24. It's going to be a negative because it is an obtuse angle. So it's a negative 0.45833 equals cosine C. So the arc cosine of a negative 0.4583 equals C. So the arc cosine of that answer is 117.2796 degrees is that angle between the two of them. So kind of sitting up a little bit is how it would be in the hospital bed. There's your angle, 117.2796. So that concludes everything for 7.2. So basically for all of chapter 7, we're just going to do 2 sections. And that wraps up all of our trigonometric items. And we are going to cover just a couple sections in chapter 9 to wrap up the semester.